When you first met Mary, what was it like back in, what was it, 69?
She was wearing a little, she'd come from dance
Why
class,
do you always do that? She was wearing pink.
you always say that. Was it mauve? Was it mauve?
I don't know what it was. Who remembers 30 years ago?
Because she was meeting Mary Tyler
Oh,
Moore.
I was.
She's going to remember.
Oh, I loved her on the show. I said, oh, you're
Okay,
so
tell her
wonderful.
about the pink.
She was so
All right,
dear.
she had pink.
Pink little, a turtleneck, halenka, they called it in those days, for dance class. White pants. The shirt was tucked in. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
So
I distinctly remember I was wearing the shirt out.
No, well, it was a short shirt, and she had white
a
pants
long
and looked
shirt.
fabulous, and a little white cap because she had been, and she was so warm and giving and dear to me at that audition. I wasn't nervous.
And was it
after
your
that.
first big thing? It was,
Yeah,
really,
oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Television. I'd been working in theater for years and years, but that was that. Yeah.
And that must have been something else, too.
It
Because
was.
you watched the Dick Van Dyke Show, needless
Oh,
to say.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
And were you intimidated? Were you thinking, oh, my God?
Still today, my daughter loves the show. What? Was I intimidated?
Yeah, you must have been a little.
She didn't allow it, which was really nice. She was very warm. I read for them once for the part. They'd seen a lot of women for the role, and Mary and I read together, and they did a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, they sure did.
Yeah,
and I love that first episode when you're cleaning the windows and get out of my apartment. It's so funny.
I'll tell you something interesting. I bet you, who knows everything about the show, doesn't know.
What? Tell me.
That before we found Valerie, there was one other woman who was being seriously considered for the role, and her name is Joan Darling. And she...
Is the director of Chuckles Bites the Dust.
Yes!
I did know it! I did know it! You know how I know it?
How do you know these
No,
things?
because when I did Stand By Your Man, a horrible sitcom for Fox, she was the director, and she came over and she said, hi, I'm Joan Darling, and I said, Chuckles Bite the Dust, and she said, yes, and it was weird because she won the Emmy, and it was the only one she directed because Jay Sandrich thought it was too
risque,
morbid and
yes.
risque. I know everything about you. You don't understand. You don't understand.
It's great.
But I
It's
didn't know that
fabulous.
Joan Darling was an actress, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, a wonderful one.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she was terrific.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine because I was reading some stuff about that they once considered Murray for Lou in the beginning when he first read, that they had him read for Lou.
He maybe came in to read.
Right.
for
Yeah,
her,
to read, and then
yes.
they cast him in a
Right.
different...
And they had wanted maybe Ted Baxter to be maybe a love
interest,
But
right.
then Ted was so, they would have gone with a younger guy, but then Ted
They were
was so-
looking for tall, dark, and handsome.
Right.
And Murray was supposed to be my nemesis. He was supposed to be very jealous of me and trying to trip me up. And he was such a loving
He's a
companion
mensch,
after all.
exactly.
Yeah.
You wish that they would do that on sitcoms nowadays, sort of mold the characters to the personalities they have.
Don't you just?
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. It's like, here's the line, stick to it. And,
Also,
Yeah.
the story, and they'll blow a character out of the water with a joke.
Yeah.
They would never give Ida, for instance, or she's the one that comes to mind is the Jewish mom. She'd never say a vulgar, a dirty joke.
Right.
But today she might, and then the audience knows that isn't true
It's
on
not
some
real,
level.
exactly.
The characters were really written as if for a play, and I think that's why they were so good.
Well, and there were varied subjects, too. It wasn't all
right.
sex.
That's right. In fact,
Exactly.
Which is
there was
wonderful.
there were only two
But
sex
there were
episodes.
choices.
Remember the
Yeah.
birth control episode with your dad finding the thing? Remember?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, indeed.
I love that. I was like, well, forget, I'll tell you the commercial. We'll be back with Mary Tyler Moore and Valerie Harper right after this.